In this video, we will discuss what gain is and why it's useful. Okay, so in electronics, gain is simply it means how much the amplifier increases the strength of the signal, right? So if you were to input a small voltage into an amplifier, the gain would tell us how big the output signal would be compared to the input signal, right? One could also simply say that the gain is the ratio of the output voltage to the input voltage. So gain can be written as output, output voltage in this case, divided by the input voltage. So it is the ratio of the output voltage to the input voltage. And it tells us how much the input signal is amplified, right? For example, let's say you provide an input voltage of 1 volt to an amplifier, right? And from the output, you get a voltage of 10 volts. So in this case, the gain is going to be 10. 10. The gain will be 10, right? So another way to illustrate this is we have an amplifier here, and it has a gain, right? It has a gain factor of, let's say, 5, and we provide an input voltage of 2 volts, right? So then how much, what would be the output voltage that we are getting? So the output voltage would be the input voltage, which is 2 volts, times the gain factor, which is 5. So 2 times 5 would be 10. So on the output side, you get a voltage of 10 volts, right? So we input 2 volts and we get out 10 volts, right? Because the amplification factor or the gain is 5 here. Similarly, let's say we input 10 volts into an amplifier, and the amplifier would output a voltage of 20 volts, right? In this case, the gain could be found like this. You could say the gain, I'm gonna write here because I don't have space, is equal to the output voltage, which is 20 volts, divided by the input voltage, which is 10 volts. So it has a gain of 2, right? So when you provide a voltage of 10 volts in, that would be multiplied by a gain of 2, which would provide or which would produce an output voltage of 20 volts. Okay, so the gain is extremely important because it allows us to boost a weak signal from sensors to a level that's usable, right? So example, in this case, these 2 volts could be coming from a sensor, right? Let's actually change it to a very small value. Let's change it to 1 volt. And in this case, and let's say it has a gain factor of, it's at a gain factor of 100. So the sensor will provide a reading which is very small in this case, which is 1 volt, and we need to step up this voltage, right? We need to amplify this signal so that it could be easily read by a microcontroller or some measuring system here, right? So what the amplifier would do is the amplifier would multiply the input voltage with the gain, and you would get a voltage of 100 volts here, right? So this 100 volts could be easily read by the system. This is just an example of how an amplifier works, right? So application. Amplifiers are mostly used in audio devices, communication circuits, and even control systems, right? And the gain also determines how sensitive or responsive your circuit is to the input signal.